welcome to The Queer Gaze, a gay movie podcast dedicated to examining queer representation and issues.
We're wrapping up our theme on sex work and pornography with a look at Camille Vidal Naquet's 2018 French film, Sauvage. If you want to hear more of the discussion, including our Chili Pepper Award, please support The Queer Gaze at patreon.com/thequeergaze.
You'll also get early access to regular main feed episodes and extra content for every single episode.
And you can follow us on social media at The Queer Gaze. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Conrad. Are you ready to be done with the sex work and the pornography?
I am, yes, although I have to applaud you on picking another title that shocked me within its first 5-10 minutes. So well done, sir.
Welcome back, folks. This is a double blind, so neither one of us had actually seen this film. But if you needed a driving incentive to check it out, there's a lot of dick early on in this movie.
Yeah, it's like, oh, hello, main character's penis.
yeah, nobody's shy. Welcome back to France, I guess, also.
It's true, yes. Where are we?
Okay, so this is a film that is written and directed, as you mentioned, by Camille Vidal Naquet. So Sauvage, or Wild, is about Leo, and he is played by Félix Maritaud, and he is a 22-year-old unhoused drug addict sex worker, I believe living in Paris. Like, this could be some other French city, and I wouldn't really know. I just default assume it's probably Paris.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so he is in love with his sex worker buddy, Odd, who is played by Eric Bernard, and Odd claims not to be gay, but what he is doing is looking for a sugar daddy, and he encourages Leo to do the same. So the film is a series of almost episodic adventures as Leo has sexual encounters with different Johns, including one that he drugs and robs with fellow sex worker Nahal, who is played by Nicolas Dibla. And then when Leo becomes ill because he is not eating properly, he is, as I mentioned, a drug addict, so he's experiencing some pretty gnarly side effects. He struggles to stay clean, but hope appears in the form of a wealthy client named Claude, who is played by Philippe Aurel, but only if Leo doesn't fall prey to the dangers of sex work, which are embodied in the form of Le Pianiste, who is played by Jean-François Charles Martin. So, what does the future hold for Leo? Like so many titles in this theme, Sauvage isn't going to offer us any closure or catharsis. And for this reason, I predicted it, Conrad. You don't like this movie.
No, but not so much for the way that it ended. Actually, the thing that I really struggled with, and perhaps you can help me with this, is that this film sets out to adopt a sort of documentary realist, God's viewpoint, no judgment, depicting sex purely as work with a clinical gaze and no stylized lighting. I think the director said lighting is moral or something along those lines. He was trying to approach this as documentary realism and not judgmental at all. And yet the narrative itself plays out pretty much as a cautionary tale of tropes that if you were growing up in like a strict religious background, this would be what you would be indoctrinating your kid with, is this is what will happen to you if you're gay.
If you are gay, you will end up doing sex work, you will become addicted to drugs, you will get the shit beaten out of you, and you will maybe die.
You will. It's just a montage of sleeping rough in a strangely red-filtered light, in between, sucking off random guys in cars, shooting up drugs, being doubled up in agony, and having grotty, crusty bits on your lips and looking completely repellent the entire time. So much so that I actually wondered, how is he scoring Johns looking like this? And smelling bad as well, apparently.
Yes, we are told that he smells bad, but arguably by two of the most reprehensible Johns that he will interact with
True.
outside of Le Pianist. So, yes, we are told that he smells bad. We see him acting very feral, which is why I think that the English language translation of the title is maybe a little bit more apt. So, wild as in he's a bit like a dog. You know, he sleeps on the streets, he's drinking water wherever he can find it. He's not eating, he steals apples and seems like he eats no protein at all. So, yeah, this is gritty, this is rough, but I do agree with you. I was almost shocked that this movie was made in the late 2010s because it felt so similar to titles I had seen in the mid to late 90s when the new queer film movement was happening. And it was like, we want to shock people, we want to play the film festival circuit, and we're going to show full frontal.
Yeah, exactly. And it has the same moralistic tone to it, even though, again, director claims that that's not what he was going for. He said that he deeply researched the sex work community while he was working as part of a Catholic outreach volunteer group.
That maybe that's where the judginess is coming from right there.
Well,
not gonna lie, I don't think all Christians or Catholics are necessarily judgy people, but there is a bit of a danger, isn't there?
There is, yes. And this did read exactly like the sort of cautionary tales, as I said. I think that's the thing that I find difficult about it, because yes, the sex scenes are filmed in a very unromanticized way, but I'm not terribly sure that they appear to be there for any other reason than not necessarily to titillate you, as to just disgust you. They're not very attractive scenes. So I don't feel that this is as neutral, this gaze, as the director wanted it to be, perhaps.
Right. Question for you. Do you think if you hadn't read those claims that you would still read it as such? Because I had seen that as well, because when I was looking up films for this theme, this was one of the ones that I came across, but I had to read the description to make sure that I wasn't fucking things up. And I saw that that was the approach that the writer-director wanted to take. And I thought, okay, well, this is interesting because I do think sex work is inherently loaded. Like, it's a very confronting, sometimes even confrontational subject matter that people often have a lot of strong feelings about, whether pro or negative. So I was curious to see how we were going to do this sort of warts and all, but no judgment approach to it. And I was left just thinking, this feels almost akin to trauma porn in parts. Like, nothing is good. No one is nice. There's very few moments of joy or happiness. And maybe part of this is that, yeah, maybe that was the case when we were doing the outreach program. These people were all very down on their luck and so on. But it just, I don't know. Like, folks, we're going to do a bit of a wrap up of our thoughts on the theme as a whole, where we compare and contrast some of the films that we've covered. But I kept thinking about Baby while I was watching this, because Baby felt to me like a much more unvarnished, but not inherently, oh my God, everything is awful if you're engaging in sex work. Like, everyone is going to try to beat you up, rob you, ruin the trust or whatever. Like, the only good person maybe has less than altruistic motives. Like, just Baby felt like it was so much fresher, even though it was engaging in some of that same ideas, whereas this was just like, hey, did you know that sex work fucking sucks and you're gonna get addicted to drugs? Cool, here you go.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think it's trying to examine people who are on the margins, people who have very precarious social situations, but this one just feels so dire after Baby, which felt so nuanced. And the imagery as well. I mean, it's the choice of things it decides to depict. And when you've got a guy washing his face in a puddle, joining a group of sex workers that are hanging out on a country lane, looking very much like the seaman in John Carpenter's The Fog, sort of ambling out of the mists. It just looks deeply disturbing. It's all drugs and dirty vests or wife beaters, I guess they're called. It's a guy who's fallen in love with a heterosexual man, supposedly. So, I mean, that's never going to end well.
Yeah.
It's being not just participating in sex work, but drawing no boundaries. So, yeah, those two reprehensible characters you mentioned previously essentially try to impale him on the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's just ridiculous.
It's the biggest dildo you've ever seen in your life, folks.
It's just eye-watering.
And we try to get it all in him. It's awful.
Yeah, it's eye-watering. And I'm sure they don't put enough lube on that thing. It's just awful, 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 awful.
Yeah. I will say, I wonder if we would have less of a negative reaction to this if we had have swapped the order and if we had covered this and then Baby, or maybe we would have appreciated Baby in other ways. But I do think that sometimes we tend to compare and contrast most specifically to a recent title because it's fresh in our minds. But yeah, I do wonder if I wouldn't have had quite the same adverse reaction to this. And folks, I'm not going to say this movie's not a hardship to watch. It was interesting. I think it is shot well. I think that this lead performance by Félix Maritaud is really good. I mean, I hate using the word, but it feels brave because it's just so unvarnished. Like, we're really comfortable showcasing everything, doing everything, just going for broke kind of cinema verite. I think I wish that the film had more depth to it. Like, at the end of the day, the treatise just seems to be sex work equals bad.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I took away from this.
Absolutely. And you're right to center Félix Maritaud because, I mean, he did win the Rising Star Award at the Cannes Film Festival, I saw in the Wikipedia entry. And that feels right. I mean, it is a magnetic central performance. You're totally bought in on this character and also his friend as well, who he is having an unrequited crush on throughout the entire movie. So, yeah, it's not a chore. It's not unconvincing. It's not badly shot in the slightest. I just think, it's very tricky when you have seen so many different depictions of sex work as we have in such a short space of time, that this one just feels so stereotypically tropey and bad, whereas the others were a little bit more nuanced. One thing that I did enjoy about it was the way that it engaged with the line between sex work as work and intimacy, particularly around the issue of to kiss or not to kiss. Mm-hmm. At first, it's just deployed as a way of sort of putting distance between Leo and Ord because Ord just does not want him to kiss him, even when a client is going to pay extra for them to do that while he watches. But eventually, Ord confronts him about it and says, "Why are you kissing your clients?" Yeah. Because he sees it as giving off a signal that you are committed to sex work, that you are never going to let it go. You're not going to see it as a means to an end.
Yeah, I did think that was arguably one of the most interesting things that the film has to say about sex work. And I agree with you. I like how it almost intermeshes between what does Leo himself want? Because, you know, as I mentioned, the title suggests that he is this kind of dog-like creature. You know, he's less than a man because he seems so capable of just living on the streets, living, you know, as you said, on the margins, on the periphery, and so on. But the whole film also seems to really be about his desire for some kind of intimacy, to find not just a sense of community, but someone who actually loves him back. So I read the kissing as this is the ultimate means of intimacy. If he can find someone who will kiss him back with genuine passion, then maybe his problems will be solved or he'll be satisfied and fulfilled.
And yet when he finds his Claude, the kind of guy who ties a sweater around his neck when he goes on holiday to Canada, hanging out on a bridge, as he often seems to do.
I mean, bridges, Conrad. We're back.
Bridges or train stations. Yes, he picks up Claude, and Claude genuinely cares for him and will be that sugar daddy, which Ord says to him, find a nice old guy that treats you kindly. It's the best thing that we can hope for. You were made to be loved.
Yes.
And he rejects it. He walks away.
Yes, and I want to talk about that, but I feel like that's maybe where we shift the conversation over to Patreon, because I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts about this ending. But yeah, I think people should maybe give us a couple dollars to hear our thoughts on that. So maybe, folks, that's where we'll wrap up this main feed entry. But if you are looking ahead, so we're going to leave the sex work and the pornography behind. We're going to start a new theme. So if you're hanging out with us, we're going to venture into the world of HIV and AIDS, which is a subject that we have avoided for more than a year, which means it's probably overdue. So we're going to kick it off with a sub-theme. So we're going to break this up so that it's not entirely doom and gloom the entire fucking time. So we're going to begin with texts that fall into origins and stigma. And I found a title for us to start things off. I think it should be an interesting conversation. It's a made-for-TV movie, Conrad, called An Early Frost. It's got an all-star cast. It's from 1984.
Whoa, okay, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I think this is a great way to initiate this new conversation, but that's where we're going to go. So if you don't want to join us, folks, on Patreon, which is patreon.com/thequeergaze, then we will be back in 2 weeks to talk about An Early Frost. If you have any thoughts on Sauvage or Wild, or just the general idea about sex work and pornography in queer media, we would love to hear from you. So you can reach out on the socials at The Queer Gaze, or you can shoot us an email at thequeergazeshow@gmail.com. But until then, I think everybody should go and watch a queer movie.